Since his international hit MASH, Hollywood maverick Robert Altman has made over 30 films, including Nashville, The Player and Shortcuts. Now in his 70s, he's just finished Gosford Park, a murder mystery set in an English country house of the 1930s. It's Altman's first film set in England and an extraordinary departure for this legend of American cinema. But such is Altman's status as a filmmaker, the very best of British acting talent came out to play. Recently, Gosford Park premiered at the Regis London Film Festival, where it received huge critical acclaim. Tonight, Omnibus goes behind the scenes of his latest movie and looks at the unpredictable career of Robert Altman.
I think he's probably the only American filmmaker at this point that you can look at his body of work and go, well, that's Altman. You know, that's the man. That's the measure of the man here. He's done his thing.
Radar!
Yes, sir.
I guess I better call Major Burns. Tell him we're going to have to hold a couple of surgeons over from the day shift out of the night shift.
I'll put in calling to General Hammond and Saul. I hope he sends us those two new surgeons. We're sure going to need them.
What was that, sir? I give everything to Radar.
I'm all right. You get her. You get her. You get her. But help her off. I'm all right. I'm all right.
Secure our closest proximity to any power lines. Please move quickly away. As falling power lines can result in electrocution. There is a possibility of a trip down line.
This is it, baby. We're going out together. It's a big one, baby.
Wasn't a big one.
No.
One of the things I love about Bob is that he always surprises you. So when he told me about Gosford Park, I said, what do you... Actually, that's a brilliant idea, of course. His work is original, even if the subject matter may be familiar or the genre may be familiar. His treatment of it always has an original characteristic.
I was wondering, William, if I could have a word with you alone after dinner.
I can't leave my guests, can I?
You'll make that dog sick.
Can I have it quiet for just a second? The ladies, as you're going out the door, ladies, you know this routine from every meal you've ever had in your entire lives. So when it's time to go, get up.
I thought you'd try and come with us.
All right. Well, you should. You can certainly ask, do I go with you or stay with them?
Such is the esteem in which Robert Altman is held. For his first film set in England, he's attracted an ensemble cast of over 40 top British actors, including Dame Maggie Smith, Charles Dance, Alan Bates, Kristen Scott Thomas, Emily Watson, Helen Mirren, Richard E. Grant, and Sir Michael Gambon.
Your agent rings you up and says, do you want to do an Altman film? And you can't wait, you jump at it, you know, because he's a legendary figure, isn't he? He's Mr. Film.
Sir Mike, before you say, come on, chaps, move up.
All actors want to work with Altman, given the opportunity they run. So every day was like going to a party. It's not like going to work at all. In fact, when you got a day off, I got very depressed.
We won't light these cigars until we do the take, but get them lit so I get some smoke in the air as quickly as possible.
What Bob Altman said right at the beginning to all of us, in a room full of theatrical knights and dames, that he wanted a non-theatrical style of acting. He said he knows that, you know, everybody's well versed in the theatre and trained and honoured and damed and Oscared and far, that he really wanted it to be a study of manners and behaviour.
The line I have to get to, the point of making the scene, is James's line. So let's try this, and I don't care how scrambled up it gets. So everything should be simultaneous. You men know the ritual, so that it's not there's any confusion. You know where the sherry glasses are. Is it port? The port glasses are. You know where they are. You get the port glass at the place you're seated. In other words, you're taking Maggie's glass. Let's just see if we can jumble it and get it in and see where this falls. Then I'll see how I have to cover it.
All right, let's shoot, please. Turn over.
The social rituals of a fading British aristocracy are minutely observed in Gosford Park, especially in the film's pivotal dinner scenes.
Action.
The time is November 1932, and relatives and friends descend on the country home of Sir William McCordle for a weekend shooting party. Just about everybody seems interested in the personal fortune of Sir William, played by Michael Gambon. And though there is the traditional murder in the library, Gosford Park is not an adaptation of Agatha Christie. It is based on an original story conceived by Robert Altman himself.
All right, cut!
Bob Balaban, who has been a friend of mine for many years, he said, "Can't we do something together?" I said, "I'll tell you what," I said, "if you could, I've never done a mystery. By that I mean the Big House, 10 Little Indians. I've never done an Agatha Christie kind of a murder mystery." And then we came up with Julian Fellows, who Bob had known, and I literally hired Julian on the telephone. I'd never seen him, read anything of his.
I think that in all his films, he has this theme of people who are forced to be geographically together rather than having desired to be. So he does a Paris Fashion Week or a Hollywood studio or a time in Korea or a wedding or whatever it is, where disparate people with different agenda are obliged to be together. And he, I think, saw in a house party, in a house that was also fully staffed, you would have the guests, the family, and the servants in the same house, pursuing entirely different emotional plots and lives.
Have you spoken to your father?
No.
What do you mean, no? Hey, you promised.
I never promised. I said I'd do my best.
You're so beautiful and irresistible.
Ah, stop it. I'll ask him tonight.
Well, you bloody well better.
You shouldn't sneak up on people like that.
Hey, don't worry, it's nobody. Sorry, Mrs. Ibach.
The servant characters, when they appear in the upstairs scenes, are very opaque. They're just doing what they do. And it's in the downstairs scenes that we, the audience, get to know them and get to know all their personalities. And as a result, by the end of the film, the audience will know the servants in this house far better than their employers.
You won't take any sauce from Elsie. You don't need sauce.
These two totally different societies, the posh people and the downstairs people, to me that became the drama. And I just wanted the customs and behavior, just all those things to be right, because I knew that I would be under scrutiny. So Julian then became our technical advisor and author.
What is it to do? You are all three the book. Because you have married a commoner, you have retained your rank. Bob has chosen to make this film about a very kind of arcane, obscure group of people who have these precise rituals and all the rest of it, about which, you know, a lot of people don't know very much. And in fact, normally when they are dramatized or televised, most of the details are wrong. And I think I'm there. You know, if he was making Nanook of the North, he'd have an Eskimo. And I guess I'm the Eskimo.
You should know this so you can explain it to Balaban.
Okay,
so I will now explain it to you.
Yeah.
Yes.
Rupert is Sylvia's right, because he is the younger son of a Marquis.
Right.
Raymond is sitting on the left because he is a baron, and the younger son of a Marquis ranks above a baron. Okay?
William, Lewis said you wanted me.
Who's next to me at dinner?
Oh, you know, Aunt Constance and Lavinia.
Oh, why do I have to have that bloody old trout all the time? I want Louisa.
Do I have to explain the table of precedence again, or can it
I don't
wait?
give a shit about precedence.
Well, you always complain that people look down on you, and then you behave like a peasant.
It's astonishing that an American appears who can then give such a thorough analysis of the British class system. I was brought up on Ken Loach's analysis of the British class system, and it's, you can recognize the truth in it. He suddenly takes it all and is taken it to some completely new dimension.
One of the unexpected details in Gosford Park is how the servants below stairs not only adopt the names of their employers, but also follow the table of precedence of their masters and mistresses when they sit down for dinner.
What's this?
I believe this is my place, Mr. Jennings.
Oh. And since when did a baroness out of rank a countess? Miss Trentham, would you take the place of honor, please? Miss Trentham.
I'm all right here, Mr. Jennings, thank you. Go on, don't keep him waiting.
You say, well, these downstairs people, I mean, they're as stupid as, they're more stupid because their hierarchy is more complex. But they're also, their lives are fuller because you begin to find that these people, the upstairs people who live by these particular rules, they're not very deep. They don't go past the surface very much.
Let's do this now, that each one of these lines are, everybody is on edge, everybody is ready to fly, everybody is really pissed off. So it's abrasive, and except for Mr. Balaban, who thinks people are interested in him.
I needed a voice that would be, in a way, my voice that could respond to customs and behavior that I would find surprising. So I had a surrogate in the film.
Here we go. Okay, action, servants.
Mr. Wiseman.
Yes.
What film are you working on at the moment?
Charlie Chan in London.
Oh.
It's a detective story.
How exciting.
The idea of the Charlie Chan, this guy being a film producer and all that, I think took away I call the Merchant Ivory, Jane Austen kind of approach to these things. It allowed me in the room.
Mr. Weissman,
Yes.
tell us about the film you're going to make.
Oh, sure. It's called Charlie Chan in London. It's a detective story.
Set in London.
Well, not really. Most of it takes place at a shooting party in a country house, sort of like this one, actually. Murder in the middle of the night, a lot of guests for the weekend, everyone's a suspect, that sort of thing.
How horrid. And who turns out to have done it?
Oh, I couldn't tell you that. It would spoil it for you.
Oh, but none of us will see it.
Anytime, and this goes for anybody who does period stuff, the minute you go back in time, we have people talking more precisely, they talk more slowly, their behavior is what we consider what happened in those drawing rooms, and it just simply isn't true. Now, the only way I know it isn't true is I lived at that time, and I saw my mother and my father and my aunt and uncles and these things, and I saw how they behaved. And they weren't, everything wasn't that formal and precise.
Robert Altman was born in 1925 in Kansas City, Missouri. He came from a prosperous middle-class family whose association with the city went back 2 generations to a thriving jewelry business. Altman's father loved to gamble, a trait he passed on to his son. Otherwise, there was little in the future director's early life to suggest a career in the movies, until in 1945, while training as a bomber pilot in California, he wrote a letter to a relative who was the secretary of a leading Hollywood agent.
She's saying, "Oh, your letter was so wonderful, you should be a writer." And from that moment on, I was a writer. I mean, I was 18 years old, and everybody said, what do you, oh, I'm a writer.
Yes, this is Hollywood, the city of the stars, the famous, the fabulous, the glamorous Hollywood.
By 1948, Altman had sold a couple of screenplays to Hollywood studios, but had so far failed in his attempts to become a director. For that, he had to return to Kansas City, where he made industrial or public information films for the Calvin Company, covering subjects from road safety to sports training.
Ronald. Yes, Coach? We're 17 points behind. There's only a minute to play. Now get in there and win.
With 1 minute to play, can he score 18 points and win the game? Can he save the championship for his school?
In this guide to basketball skills, Altman even appeared as a film director.
Cut! Naturally. And you know why? Because it's a movie, and it says so in the script. Ronald's the hero in this picture, and in the movie...
It was in such work that Altman developed his own techniques as a filmmaker. But he had higher ambitions, and in 1955, together with friends in Kansas City, he made a B-movie on the subject of juvenile crime, The Delinquents. This minor film led to Altman's career as a Hollywood director, first of all in television.
Well, I just wanted to ask what your school was, because you said you were never an AD, you were never a props man, you were never watching other directors. How did it actually happen?
I made a little film in Kansas City, and Hitchcock saw it and asked for a meeting, and I met with him, and he hired me to do some of those Hitchcock Presents television things. I did 2 of them. Then they gave me another one to do, and I read it, and I said, well, this is no good. And I went into the producers, a woman named Joan Harrison, and I said, of course, I'm not going to do this, and I advise that you don't do this because I don't think it's, well, that was her script. I didn't know that. And so that ended my career at Hitchcock Presents. And then I stepped up from there and did Whirlybirds and the U.S. Marshal and blah, blah, blah. I did 1 billion miles of television.
Altman directed episodes of more than 20 television series, and on the World War II drama Combat, he gave familiar material an unusually realistic edge.
I went into it, I said, okay, this is World War II, and we'd all seen all this stuff, and I started with the position that the Germans should speak German. I'm sure if we look at those today, we'll find out that this guy speaking German is really speaking Dutch or Flemish or something else, but they were, because, these actors, they all wanted a job, and they were probably terrible. But at least we were able to approach the reality of the action a little. The one combat I made that won awards, the executive producer turned the script down. He says, don't shoot this. I don't like it and I don't want it. And then he left town, and I thought, oh, him, let's just do it. And we went ahead and did it. And he came back, and he saw that I had done it, and he fired me, of course. And then that's the one that won the Emmy, I guess.
Well, in those days, it was difficult to make that leap from television to movies. And he was a bad boy in TV. He wouldn't play the game in television, and he was always his own man.
I was developing an idea for a film called The Chicken and the Hawk, and it was a World War I flying film. And it was a comedy, and it was a multicast thing, and it had all these kind of things that I am now credited for as being part of my work character. When this MASH script came to me, and it was a dreadful script, I read it and I said, I can do with this material what I was going to do with The Chicken and the Hawk. I can fill it with all this this life. And then I went up to San Francisco, and there was a lot of theater of the absurd going on there. You'd see 25 people on stage interacting, and I went up and I hired, 20 actors. And consequently, I got all these people in as actors, and then I was able to have them improvise throughout it.
I'd like you to meet Captain Pierce, our new surgeon. This is a Catholic chaplain, and his Captain Forrest.
They go red. They go red.
Captain Waldowski, our dental officer. This is Captain Black, our anesthesiologist.
I got you.
I'm the dentist here.
Oh, I'm John Black. I'll be passing gas for you. Yeah.
Welcome.
Elliot Gould. How do you do?
And of course, that's what infuriated Donald Sutherland and Elliot, because they thought they had been hired to be the stars, and they went in saying, "This guy is spending all his time with the extras."
Joanne Clue.
Joanne, how you doing?
She's playing in Hot Lip.
Good.
No. I'm
Dish.
Lieutenant Dish.
Okay.
Geez, originally our idea was to get an attractive girl, though.
Oh, lady, huh?
But then we went for the talent, and what the hell.
I know, my dear.
I had no clue or iota how Bob was making the picture, what his method was. And of course, Donald and I had some problems. And at a point in relation to one scene, which I thought, Donald and I thought was somewhat messy for us, we complained about Bob Altman. And luckily, Bob didn't throw us away because we went back and redid it.
That's him on the right.
Oh, wait.
Captain, the lieutenant's come all the way from Seoul, sir, just to see you. You're Captain McIntyre?
Yes, I'm Captain McIntyre. Lieutenant, you look terrible. Captain, look at his eyes. Let me see your tongue.
Donald Sutherland and Elliot Gould went to the producer and tried to have me fired. They said, "This guy's going to ruin our careers." And I didn't know that. Had I known that, I could not have gone on. Had I had known that, I would have quit.
Big, honey. It's thing is...
Ready?
Nurse, you got a clamp, please?
Yes, sir. Why don't you use this little,
Scratch my nose. Just down here. There. Little harder, please.
I think the younger audience that sees this picture is going to think it's Vietnam. I mean, most people don't even remember the Korean War. We have to have someplace in time to set it. But
MASH was a huge hit with the Vietnam generation, who relished its anti-establishment attitudes and anarchic humour, as well as its daring looseness. It took the top award at the Cannes Film Festival and an Oscar for the screenplay, which Altman had changed so radically.
Oh, I can't tell you the amount of money that's been offered to me in the last 30 years to do MASH, too.
Oh, I bet. All right.
I said, why would I do that?
Yeah,
I did
exactly. That. They've done very well out the series, Bob. They must have made billions out the series.
They did.
You didn't get any part of that, did you? That's ridiculous.
No. I was supposed to get a percentage, a 5% profit situation. And about, 2 years ago, I read or I heard that Zanuck, they were about to give me this bonus for MASH, and it's made over $1 billion for the studio with its spin-off of the series. Zanuck says he read in some interview I gave where I had kind of bad-mouthed the major studios, which I'm sure was true. I'm sure I did. And that cost me a lot of money, apparently, because he says, you give that guy nothing.
Yeah.
Well, that's that criteria.
Yeah, but it doesn't make any difference, because I got out of it what I wanted was the power to go do the next thing.
In the decade following MASH, Altman enjoyed unprecedented artistic freedom in Hollywood, making 14 films with most of the major studios. Each movie played mischievously with audience expectations, from an ironic portrayal of Raymond Chandler's detective in contemporary Los Angeles to a very unheroic Western set in a cold climate.
You're John McCabe?
Yeah.
Mrs. Miller, come from Fairport to see you.
When McCabe came along, the story was so ordinary. The hero was the blustering kind of second banana, wasn't a real hero. We had the whore with a heart of gold, And all of those things the audience knew because they'd seen him in every movie that they've ever seen.
Did you say you come up here from Bearpaw to see me?
So I was able to say, but look at it from this window. It looks this way. It might look this way.
Ma'am? Is there something I can do for you?
Do you have anything to eat? I'm bloody starving.
From over here, this is the way it looks to me. This may not be the way this may not be any more of a truth than the truth from over here, but come and look through my window.
He was rather a frightening figure. I mean, there seemed to be such sort of looseness and freedom and a lot of stories around him. And none of those films, I think, has the... Well, they're all slightly diffuse, as though someone very clever was trying to work something out. And then Nashville came along, and it all made complete sense.
Considered by many his masterpiece, Nashville established Altman's trademark ensemble style, using 24 characters to explore the country and western capital of America.
Hey, are you going to ride into town with me or not?
Tennessee, honey, you going without me? I'm going to wait, because I think she's going to sing.
Who, huh? Oh, she ain't going to sing. She don't sing unless she get paid. Now, come on.
I'd like to thank you for coming out to greet me today. It's great to be home. It's hot as firecrackers. And me and the boys are going to be out at the Opry this week. And like my granddaddy always used to say, if you're down to the river, I hope you'll drop in.
Oh, yes.
I had never been to Nashville in my life. Country music to me was what we called hillbilly music. Joan Tewksbury had written the screenplay for Thieves Like Us. And I told Joan, I said, okay, go to Nashville, keep a journal. And she went there for 10 days probably. The first thing that had happened to her was when she landed in the airport, she got in a car, there was a crash on the freeway, and she was stuck there for 2 hours. And that's why I opened the picture.
The whole movie is my experience in Nashville. And what I realized very quickly, if the sense of place is a central character, then you have the opportunity for people to run into one another. So that it becomes, what it reminded me of was Hollywood in the 40s. Everybody was trying to write a song. Everybody was trying to get famous. Everybody had, you know, this idea about stardom.
And then I want to go to the Grand Ole Opry to have
Grand Ole Opry, forget that.
No, because I have to have my record.
I'm going up front.
I have a gold record, and it needs to be signed. And we're going to the Grand Ole
Get the hell away from my
Opry.
truck, will you? God damn it. Bitches.
I say, could I please speak to Mr. Tommy Brown?
Black strawberry.
I'm sorry. Is it possible to have a few words with Mr. Tommy Brown? I'm from the BBC, and I'm doing a documentary on Nashville, and
Where's the BBC?
British Broadcasting Company.
Oh, English.
It was called Wonder, Wonder.
No, its song was called Wonder, Wonder.
Oh, Wonder, Wonder. Wonder, Wonder's got me bad.
No, it was Wonder,
I keep
Wonder,
trembling, and I'm sad. Somebody, which was it?
I don't know. They both sound good to me. Thank you.
God damn it, it was Wonder, Wonder.
It was Wonder, Wonder.
Wonder. What difference does it make? I was a hit.
You have to understand, Nashville was the first film that I had total control over that became a big film, because it cost $1.9 million, I think, to make that. But I didn't have anybody standing over me. I didn't have any studio. I went in and I just did this the way I felt it should be done. I gathered a group of actors together. I had them write their own material. We wrote all those songs. Everything was done on the spot, changed on the spot. It was indigenous to what was going on. And Nashville grew like Topsy and like MASH and like Gosford Park.
Take the car around the back to unload it. You better follow him. Mrs. Wilson will look after you.
In Gosford Park, Altman has once again taken the model of Nashville, this time examining a particular world through a large group of characters from opposite ends of the social spectrum.
Louisa?
The very opening shots, it's bringing you into the actual period that we're doing, but we've already thrown your mind into the past. And then when we hit those servants downstairs, it's a beehive. This is going this way, this is going this way, take that over here, and all these people are, so you're really suddenly in the engine room, where you usually never are.
Oh, take that rain off those shoulders before you take them off. Those are Mr. Novello's bags. Can't you see them on the ground? Who are you? Who are you?
I'm just the voiceless man. Countess Transome.
Just put them there, make sure they're properly labelled.
Where am I?
You're in the stable block with the grooms from Elsie! There, she'll show you where everything is. All right, Elsie, take care of Miss Trevor, will you?
Helen, you said...
Yes. I said the Countess.
Yeah, you know that. Okay.
But I said everything else right, which
I know
is
you
a
did.
triumph of will
I know
over
it is, I know
mind
that.
over mush.
Nobody's going to listen to hear it right anyway, so it doesn't make any difference.
My great inspiration in film acting are dogs and babies, who are the greatest film actors ever. And because they just live in that world. To them, it's no different from any other world. They're just alive in this world. And it's much easier to do that on Bob sets. Also, I think we were hugely helped by, but then obviously that's a part of his creation, by the set. You weren't moving from one set and then empty space, studio space, another set. You could live in that downstairs world totally. So you could believe in where you were. You could look out the window down the corridor, and the corridor went on forever, and the roof was here, there weren't lights above you. It was a very real environment.
Down there on the right, you find Mr. Rayson.
Now you start those tags going.
We'll show you what to do.
I know what to do.
He goes past, right there. Now he's gone down. Okay, now come on through.
He doesn't block the shots until you get there, so basically you do have to build pretty much everything 360, top and bottom. And then he basically comes on the set, looks out at the actors come in, and then they set up what the shot is going to be from there.
All right, now the next group.
We could have done this on locations with what I've seen around here, but it would have been probably 3 or 4 different locations, and I certainly don't think it would have gone as fast.
Where's Derek?
You spend money building a set, but then you save it further down the line, just in lunches.
Let's do this down here, I'm sorry. Now, is he going to carry those down? He just has to leave those. I think you leave them here. The boys do that. Right. And you go back out to your stable.
It was very, very demanding for him to choreograph both the actors, so many actors, the camera moves, and to get the essence of what's going on and what you need to see.
All right, let's try the whole thing again. I want to see how this stuff works in here and all the general meetings and all. I don't have a script. When I didn't look at a script unless I had to check something, and I have a person whose job is to do that. I don't learn the script. I don't know the script.
The only thing you don't, since it's got certainly on that cover, you put it on that, is the parks.
I cannot tell you the number of times that we would do a scene and I'd say, that's great, okay, let's move. And the script girl would say, but he didn't say anything about stealing the toilet water. And I'd say, oh, but that's the point of the scene. I'd say, oh, we're going to do one more and get the toilet water bit back in. And but I don't, because I'm not looking for that. I'm not trying to underscore the plot. I'm interested in the behavior of the people.
Well, but I think if we did sort of more or less what we just did, which was, it's really where you want the dialogue. We can do it, we can improvise here with Mrs. Croft, or we can move off down there to meet up with Elsie down there.
This is very good. If you make your, when you say that Robert Parks, and it freezes you for a moment, and you start to walk, you've come by here just as he said that. I wasn't interested in any one person. in that, and say the 15 people that we're really dealing with in that scene, but I was interested in all of them. So it all had to happen at the same time. And my job with the camera then is to give to the audience what I can of that, but not complete anything. So they get a sense of the fabric. If we get the best camera positions, because we can change them. Okay, come back, let's do it again. I don't want to cut to a close-up as Helen Mirren says a line, and that tells us something about her. I want this all to be captured en passant.
And action.
Just leave everything in one pile around the corner there. Make sure it's properly labelled. It'll go up in the luggage lift.
These are the guns. Where's the gun room?
Down there on the right. Find Mr. Strutt, the keeper, in there. He'll show you what to do.
I know what to do. And Mr. Weissman's man.
Countess of Trentham.
Yes. Make sure they're properly labelled. Put them down there, all right?
Where am I?
The stable block with the grooms. Her ladyship is in the Chinese room. Elsie, you'll be sharing with the head housemaid. She'll show you where everything is, all right? Elsie, this is Miss Trentham.
Mrs. Wilson?
Take care of her, will you?
Excuse me, ma'am. My name's Mary McKeithen.
No, here it's not. It's Trentham.
Can't you see them?
Lord Stockbridge, guns.
Down there on the right.
The name's Parks, Robert Parks.
Mr. Parks. Mr. Stockbridge. Parks, I knew Mr. Parks who was in service in Norwich. Is he any relation?
No, London, born and bred.
Good. Okay, it's not bad. I decided to do this thing that I had done in 1973 in The Long Goodbye. Why I did it in The Long Goodbye, I don't know, but I just started, I said, we're going to move the camera constantly, but arbitrarily, not in any rhythm that you would think belongs to the action.
Do you know Terry Lennox?
Yeah. I know Terry Lennox, but he's the kind of a guy that if I knew him, I wouldn't let on I knew him. I'll tell you that.
Didn't like him much, huh?
Son of a bitch. Christ almighty, I didn't know him. I hear you. Son of a bitch killed himself, huh?
I read that.
Yeah, well, let's drink to his going. Oh, shit.
What's happened is apparently there are hundreds and hundreds of Sudanese native soldiers, entire regiments, wandering around the desert, willy-nilly, without anything on their feet, which causes some hardship, I imagine.
I grew up in Leicester. My father had a glove factory.
Really?
One thing I do know is how a glove should fit.
Really, darling, you're boring poor Mr. Novella to death.
It was splendid.
No. I think he's going to explain everything to me and kind of show me how it all works. There's going to be a
I don't think we've done, maybe by mistake or default, there are one or two static shots. But if there is, I hope they're not in the movie. I don't think it cut out. But there shouldn't be any static shots. It's just they're constantly sort of roaming, exploring, and redefining backgrounds against characters and backgrounds.
Do you want to do this from both sides, like that, and then we can cut it? Can the other camera come in there where Bob is, and he can play just on that side of it? So we have this kind of a line on her. We serve the audience up in most of this stuff. We put it in front of them. We don't make them do any work. We don't make them do anything. And finally they sit there and they fall asleep and say, oh, well, what's that, an apple? Oh, okay. And they're just not interested. But if I can make them move their body, I sit in these screenings I have and I look at the back of people's heads, and what I'm really looking for is if somebody is looking at the screen, they go, You know, if I can see those heads bobbing, then I know that I've got these people into that film.
When I call action, that's for the servers to chart their moves, and then we'll see how we come out with this. Here we go. Okay, action, servants.
With these two cameras on these tracks running around and moving, and the actors are going through their stuff, they don't know whether they're on camera or not. They don't know if it's a close-up of them or if they're not even in either camera. So suddenly they're relieved of the responsibility of saying, oh, this is my close-up, I better be good here. They figure out, I better be good all the time because I don't know whether they're getting me or not.
Thank you.
Goodness, isn't it pretty here? The house is such lovely position.
Best views from the old water tower.
Might well walk up that wire. You really? Oh, I'm afraid so. When you're ruining, there's suddenly so much.
Working with him takes the pressure off film acting. For me, it's always been master, medium, close-up, and each one a big deal. He takes the big deal away.
Why shouldn't I be interested in films? How do you know what I'm interested in?
Well, I know you're interested in money and fiddling about your beastly guns, but I admit to it, when it comes to anything else, I'm stumped. Come on.
It's very good, I think, if we come to a line and it's quiet for a minute, and then you're saying, well, tell me about, you know, it's always that thing of trying to keep the conversation going.
The first day we shot a scene, he said, right, cut, like that, and he said, we said, how was that? He said, it was very good. He said, all of you were very good except one. So that's his fun. We say, who is it? He said, I'm not telling you. Yeah. So I like his sense of fun, his sense of humor.
All right, well, what do you want to do? Should we just shoot one and see how bad it is? Let's shoot one. I mean, see how good it is. Let's waste film.
Shoot the next one.
I have a lot of stock in Eastman. All right, let's do it.
Okay. Quiet, please. Okay, and action.
A regular feature of Altman's films has been his distinctive use of live sound. He has tiny microphones placed on all his actors so that he can select which voices are heard at any time.
That's the actual microphone, and that of course has to be hidden on somebody's costume or under it. It does give the actors more freedom because instead of having to worry about whether they're heard or not, I mean, they're all mic'd all of the time. Normally we have a battle to get radio mics onto people. They say, oh no, I'd rather not have a mic on. And I think the actors early on in this one realised that as everybody's talking at once, if they didn't have a mic on, nobody would hear them. So we had this unique situation where they were coming to me saying, could we have a mic on?
Might well walk up that wire.
Because these cameras are moving at any one time, and if there are 18 characters in a scene, everybody's mic'd up, that gives the illusion of this elliptical nature of life, that you catch something rather than it being set up. It is like working with the best kind of jazz musician in that he riffs off something. You know, you have the tune is what the scene is, and this is the set, but then what happens on the day and during the take, he will go with that.
She's behind you. Okay, so if she's here, then you're...
I like that freedom, because Julian's by the side of the camera who wrote this, and so you're quite safe with him. But it's nice just being able to wander off the text a bit and add your own. I mean, if you've done a scene all morning, things come out of it to you, points of fun or comedic inputs, and then you can suddenly say things that. I mean, I was at the top of the table, and Tom Hollander says to me something about the demise of the British Empire.
William, that's not true, is it? You think the Empire's finished?
I beg your pardon, why that? Well, the Empire was finished after the war. Well, because of the war. It changed everything. Empire Leicester Square, is it?
And I said, oh, the Empire Leicester Square. But you can do that, and I think if it works, he'll use it.
What I want from an actor, because what I want to see is something I've never seen before. So how can I explain to somebody what that is? I have to encourage the actors. I have to make them trust me. I have to make them know that they can go further. They can step over the edge, and I got a safety net. I'll catch them. They won't crash. I won't let them make a fool of themselves.
I would stay up till 1, 2 in the morning going over my stuff, trying to maximize whatever moments I might have, things like that. And you'd get there and he'd say, okay, this scene doesn't exist anymore, you know. And he would then stand there and like a painter, create the scene that was even better and more interesting and had more going on and more conflict, and he would give you more to say. You would come in some days thinking you had 1 or 2 lines, and you'd end up with, 4 or 5 speeches, whatever it is. It's like, so it really keeps you on your toes as an actor.
Why does this fork go on the right?
Because they eat the fish with 2 of them, 1 in each hand.
Why is that then?
That's me.
What are you doing here? Just looking around. Mr. Jennings will be up in a minute. If I were you, I'd go and look around somewhere else. Is that what you do? That's exactly what I would do. Then that's what I'll do.
Something funny about that.
Altman's respect for actors and the freedom he gives them on his sets has always brought with it an element of risk.
On Pret-a-Porter, it was a real free-for-all. That there were some days where I think there were scenes that said A, B, C, and near blank pages where they said, well, your character will have a fight with that character. This person doesn't like that person. It was that sketched out. So as a result, it didn't entirely work, I don't think. And the critics didn't think so either, or the public. But the actual experience of making it wasn't that different.
But I'll tell you, the younger employees in my place will love your stuff. Which side? Where the hell side? Which side? You went that way. I'm fine. Why don't you talk in English? When you pick up an African car, what the hell are you saying?
Rich, you're on the bitch. What are you doing here? Go to you.
When the films really work, it somehow all locks in. And it's funny and moving and profound and all those things and intelligent. So I suppose, I mean, he'd kill me for saying this. I suppose there are films where I'm saying, well, there are some films where the focus isn't as sharp. But you have no sense of him knowing the solution before he goes into the game. And he seems willing to take the risk.
In the 1980s, Altman was considered too much of a risk by Hollywood, and he turned his energies to creating innovative film versions of stage plays. He also returned to television, and in collaboration with cartoonist Gary Trudeau, he created Tanner 88. To the background of election year, Altman's cameras followed a fictitious presidential candidate, mixing actors with real people on the campaign trail.
Today, I'm proud to appear before you on behalf of Friends of the Earth everywhere to introduce to you a great champion of environmental protection and the next president of the United States, Jack Tanner.
We took Tanner, his campaign, we went to New Hampshire and to Detroit and to Atlanta and to all these different places following the actual campaign. We dealt with real people. We mixed reality with this faux reality.
New Hampshire is on the move. New Hampshire.
We'd find out that there'd be a politician talking someplace, and we'd just go there with our cameras, and it didn't take long where I was just part of I was another candidate.
They lead lives in which there's no longer...
Bruce Babbitt was running for president, and he had to quit the race. I mean, 2 days later, I'm walking down the Potomac with him, and he's saying, well, you know, I could support a guy like you.
So, why don't you take a chance? See, I'm here saying, look, I took a chance, got blown out of the water. Now I'm telling you, take a chance. Because I think you can do it. I could get awfully enthusiastic about it, about you. If you go out to those people out there and say, okay, I'm not going to pander to you anymore. I'm going to talk to you honestly about what you got to do for the future of our country.
It was really an extraordinary thing. You just sort of morph into one of these guys. And it's very similar to show business, of course. I mean, because everybody's out there trying to, you know, say the right thing.
I think it's probably the strongest benchmark I've got in all of my work. I think this took the biggest leap, and fawned or fostered, I should say, you know, more things like that.
It's over there with Angelica Houston and John Cusack.
The mixing of fictional characters with real-life celebrities was central to The Player, a satire on the Hollywood studio system which marked Altman's return to directing major feature films.
Sure. Angelica, Griffin Mill.
Oh, hi.
Good to see you.
You too.
You're looking great. Hey, Johnny.
Hi.
Griffin Mill, I'm a big fan of you. Yeah. You gonna be in Telluride this year?
Yeah, I'm
gonna be in Park City. Oh, great. We'll see you there. Okay.
So what's happening with Glass Box?
Can we talk about something other than Hollywood for a change?
Yeah. Yes.
We're educated people.
Sure.
Though the success of The Player ironically gave Altman more power to finance his movies, he has steadfastly refused to bow to the dictates of studio executives and has maintained his independence.
The price of independence is that you don't get rich. There's nothing complicated about it. But I guess when you're asked to make a studio film, you know, they just play a different game, really. And as he now says, he makes, what's it? He makes gloves, they make shoes. I mean, it's just different.
She's receiving the last rites. The DA discovers that the husband faked his own death. She's innocent. He races to the penitentiary, but it's too late. The pellets are dropped. She's dead. He helped kill the woman he loved.
Who are the stars?
No stars, just talent.
No stars? What kind of ending do you call that? It's depressing. It'll bring everybody down.
Depressing? Joel, what about terms of endearment? Love Story, Steel Magnolias, Joel, E.T. grossed what, Marty? $319 million worldwide, pre-cassette, and there wasn't a dry eye in the house. Depressing? I don't think so.
Yeah, but...
Listen, normally I'd agree with you, but this is an entirely different kind of deal here. It is a matter of taking the risk, rolling the dice. But if they come up 7, bingo. It's Oscar time.
Did they screw?
Who?
The DA, whoever it is, and the woman. Did they screw? If I'm going to be looking at jail cells and gas chambers, we're going to have a little sex in this picture.
Yeah, sure, of course. We'll get it there, no problem.
Okay.
But I mean, we all owe you a debt because you're a trailblazer, and in many ways, subconsciously or consciously, we have taken your career as a sort of role model. I thought, well, if Bob can go on doing it, I'm not going to give up. I'll have another try.
But apart from, you know, all that we said how difficult it is getting money for films and distributing films and cutting films, and it is a fantastic life because it's such fun moving around the world, you know.
Well, I think so. I had each film, you know, takes about 9 months.
Yes.
Really is like a whole full life experience. There's a beginning, a middle, end. You meet people, you finish, you go to the wrap party and you say, oh God, listen, we're going to get together and I'm going to see you in Switzerland, or we're going to do blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
40 years later, if you happen to be in another picture, you say, hi, how are you? Isn't it?
Nice.
I forgot to call you. I was busy.
Yeah.
But you really do have all of these separate lifetimes.
Yes.
I've only had one vacation in my life. I took one of my sons fishing in Alaska for 10 days. And that's the only time.
Fishing is so much about doing nothing, and I can never imagine Robert Altman in a situation where he's just doing nothing. When Bob's in his office, he's usually sitting at his desk playing solitaire with tarot cards or something to that effect, but he'll have 15 people in the office doing various things, trying to tell him something, trying to set this up, or just 2 people over here doing something else that don't have anything to do with him. And he loves that. He wants 20 things going on around him. And I think it all reflects in his movies.
Sweet thing. Oh, honey, come on. Oh, I'm sorry, sweetie. Come here, baby. Come here.
There was a question in my mind of me playing a gynecologist and the expectations of that. And then the more I thought about it and I talked to Bob about it, it actually felt like a very positive thing. It would help the film. And that using whatever persona I have and kind of flipping it upside down in this film would be great fun.
So, how many children does Peggy have now?
She has 3. Yeah, all girls.
3. All girls? Well, that's nice.
Yes, it is. Couldn't have it any other way.
Nor would I.
There's always an element of, well, you know, let's thumb it to the authorities and let's break some rules here and whatever. But again, at the same time, this is a very dead serious filmmaker who is doing things because he sees a universe that way, his way of telling stories.
He has rebelled against a certain kind of structure or formality or rigidity in the best possible way, you know, because it's delighted the rest of us that he's taken the ball and run with it, as it were.
Now, when Bulmer starts coming over here like he's hurt, you say, for God's sakes, Bulmer, get back in the game. There's nothing on. He says,
It's never, ever been smooth sailing for Bob. Never. And I mean, there are times I've stood in his living room where, you know, I think, you know, well, this is it. I mean, how am I ever going to get anybody to finance another movie? And boy, he's just dogged about it. He gets up. He's never relaxed. You know, and it's all about that internal thing of wanting to tell a story. You know, he wants to do this.
They'll come up along here. Are they carrying their guns or not? No, the loaders are carrying their guns. So you get your hats off, not all at the same time, but you'll give them to. There's no filmmaker who has ever lived who has had a better shake than I have. I mean, I have never had a film taken away from me. All right, here we go. Stand by. Start the A-camera move. I've never done a film that wasn't my own choosing. And I've never gone through more than a month period at any one time without having a project. Car! So, it doesn't get any better. Cut! You're the driver. Is this your buggy?
Beautiful.
Sure is. I'm not going to ride with them. We'll assume that it's stopped.
Yeah.
And look at that.
Yeah. Do you want it or not?
I don't want it.
Typical.
I don't want that sun.
All right. I enjoyed it. What's your name?
Bob. What's yours?
Mike.
Mike, how are you?
Okay.